Welcome to Celebrating Everyday People. My name is Yana Larson, and my co host today is Tassin Bashar. Malcolm Berman, my usual co host, is off today. You may remember that we have an expanded team now in our second season to bring deeper content to our show. So we will have monthly segments around the topics of public health with Tassin and the arts with Brigitte Ben Ely. You can find us on malcolmpresents.com and on Malcolm's YouTube. And we also have a Facebook page, and we're on Buzzsprout and all major directories and beyond as we enhance our online presence. Welcome back, Tassin. Let's jump in.
Hello, Yana. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be on the show today.
Yeah, we're glad to have you as we're moving along, and thanks for joining us. I know you're busy finishing out all your exams and such with your master's degree. So let's just start with talking about you, going more in depth than we were able to before in our introductory show. Let's talk about your background.
I'm currently living in Iran. I'm a medical graduate, and I'm currently pursuing a master's in epidemiology. This is a course that's very close to public health. I'm very much, you know, into doing medical research in the fields of global and public health and pharmacoepidemiology and working on research papers and finding associations between different risk factors and diseases. And apart from that, I'm very much interested in doing volunteer work, and I'm with We the World, an American nonprofit, for around 2 years now, and I look forward to many more projects, many volunteership roles in the future.
Yeah, and didn't you mention at one point that you're a volunteer with the UN?
Actually, I did a virtual volunteer role with the United Nations volunteers. So I was part of 3 projects with the United Nations Volunteer Organization, and it was, working on different projects that was about, climate protection and global warming. So I was involved on those 3 projects too.
So, I happen to know that you were born in Bangladesh and you're living in Iran now. You, in fact, were living there in Tehran during the whatever war that was called, the war of whatever, how many days. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny. And it was very scary for all of us, your friends here in America, knowing what you were going through. And you all fared pretty well, I guess, from what I understand. And then, can't go to school and can't do a lot of things. And now you're back and on a delayed schedule. When will you officially graduate?
I'll be working on my thesis pretty soon now. Maybe from next week, or in this month I start working on my dissertation, and it is about pulmonology, like diseases regarding the lungs. So I have to devise a researcher's questionnaire and gather the data. So I hope to graduate pretty soon, and I'll be applying for a PhD after that, hopefully.
Oh, wow. So how many more years do you think that you have education wise? 2 years,
Depends.
4 years,
Maybe
20,
a year, maybe
5,000
less than that.
years? I'm sorry. How many did you say?
The thesis does not take more than a year, so I don't think it's gonna take anything more than that.
Okay. And you're thinking of coming to the US?
Maybe US. God knows
Yeah.
about that.
Who
But
knows
yeah,
what's
hopefully.
happening in our crazy world right now with thinking into the future like that. So when you're working, your thesis is going to be on what happens to the lungs. So air, breathing
So
quality.
basically, yes, it's about,
You there?
Yes, yes, sorry, there was disconnection. So do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so basically my thesis is about a disease, a lung disease called chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, and I will be looking at the possible benefits of oxygen therapy to these people. So their level of access to the care and the benefit they are getting from that care. So that is what I'll be focusing on.
Mm. And where will you, how will you be, h- tell about how that will be that you will do that. Do you have to design experiments or do
Yes,
some
I
more
have to
work?
devise a questionnaire
Mhm.
tool, and I have to disseminate it among the patients and ask each of them to fill out the questionnaire. And once the data is gathered, I have to input it into a, statistical software like SPSS or Stata or R. And I will then, churn the numbers, like do the statistical analysis. And yeah, that's when that's complete, I'm pretty much done. I have to, convert my findings into a research article, and then I can defend my thesis and graduate.
Okay, so that will be mostly be done in there in Tehran, or do you have to do any traveling to other
No, no,
communities?
no, no. It's mostly in Tehran. There's a tertiary grade hospital here. So it's a referral center for people suffering from that lung disorder. So those people come to that hospital, and I will have to be present in the hospital and, gather the data from them and fill out the questionnaire with them. So that's how it's done.
Do you have a team that helps you, or is it all work
No,
that
no,
you?
no. It's the thesis is like it's all of it is like on me. I have to do everything, but of course there's my supervisor, professor who will be guiding me through the steps. And then there's a pulmonologist, like an internal doctor who subspecializes in lung diseases. And she will be my like second supervisor. And then there's another person, another professor who is a biostatistician, and he will help me with the statistical analysis.
Okay. Um, do you uh do, are are there other people, colleagues of yours, that are in a class and they're all at this kind of the same point as you are in this stage of your education? They're doing similar
Mm.
things, or at some point do you just all go off in different directions and you're all at different levels and paths along the way?
Yeah, most of my classmates are trying to work on the thesis too, but once we graduate, we will diverge into different paths. Some of them maybe will want to pursue a PhD, some of them will want to work with their degree, and some of them may work, opt for government roles, working in ministries or something. So there are various types of opportunities you could pursue in my field, but yeah. But I personally want to pursue a PhD, maybe in a closely related field like public health or epidemiology.
Hmm. Um, wow, that sounds like a big, really big project. And as far as what you want to do with this, I think I remember you're mentioning you didn't want to be like a bedside doctor who would be doing surgeries or anything like that. You want to
Yes,
be
yeah,
working in doing research.
that's true.
So would you
So
continue on with these pulmonary diseases, or do you have another area of in epidemiology that you would want to be looking at, like contagious disease or something like that?
so as an epidemiologist, you can, work on different sorts of diseases, and I want to keep my portfolio open and wide. So not only lung diseases, but I'm actually simultaneously working on other articles too. So one article was submitted last week. I'm so glad. And it was about stem cells. It's a special issue, and that was really good. So I contributed one chapter to that
You
article,
so
and
you're already contributing to academic journals and such.
yes, I'm working on multiple research, research projects at the moment, like simultaneously. So, one is submitted, and I'm having my last exam on Tuesday. So, once I'm done with that, I'll have to, work on the articles, on my thesis, and everything else.
And help us on
Yes, of
celebrating
course.
everyday people.
Exactly,
And
exactly. So
so
that's my
so
passion. That's my passion, volunteering, everything. That's really my passion.
well, and we can't wait because here in our second season, as I mentioned, we were wanting to get into deepen our content and such. And of course, Brigitte Ben Ely is going to be talking about the arts. And when we're talking about people doing everyday people doing amazing things, I would say that there anything in the health field, climate field is uh, pretty much a big subject and lots to do with that. And then the arts, of course, we just need to have the arts to help us see the beauty of life and the joy that is there even when awful things are happening around the world. And of course, our focus with Malcolm and me is that we want to bring attention because um, there's certainly a lot of bad news out there, and it's good to find out what people are doing. And for you as a younger person, having the dedication and devotion that you've obviously shown so far to be willing to go into a field that uh, well, it's just I don't know the word, but I mean, it just seems like a lot. It's you have to put a lot of your time into it and your energies and not knowing what's happening in the future. Of course, we none of us do. But anyway, you can see where I'm going with this. And when you think of public health, or when I think of public health, I'm thinking of lack of aid that the US is giving to other countries that are suffering. And at the same time, that considering that we're one of the wealthiest, the wealthiest countries and a super world power, we still have a lot of public health issues in our own country. What would you say is the number one public health concern um, on a global level?
So I think like we had a pandemic a few years ago, so the threat of a second pandemic, in the coming years is very much real. So with the increased, globalization, people are flying from different parts of the world, in a matter of hours. So the threat of a new pandemic is very much real, a new viral disease. And also like there's another threat, the biological weapons that like until now they've been a theory, but they are very much like they are the reality, So if a country decides to use the biological weapons, we may face a pandemic in the future again. Maybe, maybe secondary to a biological attack, or, just like COVID-19, just out of nowhere we'll have a second pandemic. So I think that's the number one threat to global health at the moment, and we have to be prepared for that.
Wow. I hadn't even really thought along those lines, but yes, of course, that does make sense. And I know you really follow news in America. And in fact, sometimes I think you're more informed than I am. Um, I try, I try to be pretty informed. But what do you think of this new, or I shouldn't say new, but what do you think of um, this this thing that's happening now? Government, what's the word? Ordained almost that about taking away um, mandatory vaccinations for eliminating diseases such as measles. mumps and rubella. What do you think of that?
Um, I think problems could arise, it's as if you are just throwing out your um life vest, when you want, swim in an ocean or something, you have to have a vest. So if you throw it out, you may survive, but then the threat is real. If there is a pandemic, if there is an epidemic in the United States, if the people aren't vaccinated, the death tolls could simply, or go very high. And the United States might be a superpower, but in the face of um, attacks, or like the face of, viral diseases, or outbreaks of diseases, any country, like including the United States, could crumble. So I personally do not think that, ditching the vaccination schemes is a good idea. And I really hope that we do not see the bad consequences of this, but it's a reality and it could happen. So
So in Iran, are vaccinations required for
yeah,
children to
yeah, pretty
school?
much like all the vaccination, like there is a big list of vaccines that are given to the, newborn kids, and in Bangladesh too, and all the childhood diseases are covered. And apart from that, like in Iran, hepatitis B is covered too.
Yes.
Um, yes, actually, it's given later here is not in, infancy, but
What do you think
it's
is a good
covered.
thing to
And
sorry, what do you think is a good thing to say to somebody who says, "Oh, I don't believe in vaccinations," and by the way, I hear it causes autism.
um, well, the thing is that when we look at our, you know, past, like a few centuries ago, infections were killing people, but now infections are not killing people. So something has happened. People are not
Right.
dying because of infections. They
And
are living long enough.
autism has been around. It's not
Autism
understood.
has been around, yeah, but which one is better? Having like 1,000 people out of a million die of an infection, or having one person out of 1 million die of autism, because vaccines may have side effects or adverse effects, but it is much, 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 rarer. The risk is much smaller than the risk posed by the actual infection. So
Well, that but are you leaving open the possibility that there could be something in a vaccination that could possibly maybe in some way, shape, or form cause autism, or is that just one of those coincidence does not equal causation
I
factors?
don't think, like, because vaccinations have been around for decades and the technology is improving, they are like fine-tuning the vaccines, making them more effective. So just coming up with an idea that vaccines could cause autism is like, stupid, because the vaccines are not the only drugs that we use. We use antibiotics, we use, painkillers. So
Yeah.
if you're ditching vaccines, you have to ditch all these medicines too. So it's not possible. And
Yes. Yes. Well, I think you're a perfect person to be our public health leader in this campaign. Um, for your work with us, how would you like to bring us more information about public health? Uh, for example, you're going to next month be bringing a guest in. Would you like to talk about that person?
I'm sorry, our next month guests?
Yes. Mhm. Or
Yes.
maybe that
So
person
next,
hasn't confirmed yet, I'm not sure, but you do intend to bring in guests talking
yes,
about
yes,
public
yes.
health.
She's a Syrian Iraqi immigrant to the US, and she has a nonprofit of her own in the US, and she's
Hmm.
very much active in, um working towards unity and social justice and the rights of the people who've been war stricken in the Middle East. So she is, a resourceful person, and I really look forward to our episode with Shaftal Asali, and that's her name. So yeah, I hope to be the co-host on that event too.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Tassin, I really admire you. And I'm so glad I've been able to meet you through my work in this area of being a change maker, which you, of course, are. And so I really appreciate your work, and I know how busy you are, and you're still keeping it all together. Must it's probably because you're young,
My
right?
pleasure. My pleasure. My
And you know what? I forgot to look at the time. But I think we talked about 20 minutes or so. And you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But oops, I just lost her picture here. There we are. Um, I'm going to say thank you, Tassin. And I think maybe our time is up. I'm not really sure, but I think we got all the important stuff talked about. And to our viewers, we hope you enjoyed our show today. If you have any questions or comments, please send us a message at malcolmpresents.com. Remember to like, share, and follow us at Celebrating Everyday People on malcolmpresents.com and on our Facebook page, Celebrating Everyday People, and also the same name on Buzzsprout. Thank you from all of us, and goodbye.
thank you. Bye.